Welcome back to another episode of Pinals People. We are joining you from the Walmart Distribution Center here in Casa Grande, and our guest today is Louie Sanchez. Louie is the general manager here at the center, and in addition to his work with Walmart, Louie has been a part of many service organizations here in Pinal County. That includes the Casa Grande Rotary Foundation, where he has served as a chair of the Scholarship Foundation, and the Hispanic Leadership Institute of Pinal County, among many others. Most recently, Louie was named as a nominee for the Casa Grande Union High School Wall of Fame. Louie, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for coming out. I do appreciate this opportunity, and I don't know, what or who said what to get me involved in this, but it's an honor. I think it's great, Rafida, to sit down and just kind of share a little bit about what I've been up to over the last 21 years or so here in the community, and some of the things that we've been able to do as an organization here at the DC. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So to get started, we always like to jump in by asking our guests, for our audiences who might not be familiar with you, if you could share a little bit about your background and your story and how you got involved in Casa Grande.
Well, that's a good question. It goes back 21 years when Walmart decided to open a facility to serve a growing Walmart store, kind of our expansion into Arizona. And so what we do here at the distribution center is we service our Walmart stores in the entire state of Arizona, some stores in western New Mexico, and about 20 stores in Southern California. We service them with all the food-related items. And as we grew our Walmart stores, particularly our Walmart supercenters and our neighborhood markets, Walmart built this facility back in 2003, and I was very fortunate to come on as the first general manager. I've been the only general manager at this facility. So, now 21 years plus being here. So that's that. So, a little bit about my personal side is next week. I celebrate 40 years of marriage.
Oh, wow.
40 years.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So 40 years, and so that's pretty exciting. It's a big milestone for us. We've raised two boys. Both of them are grown. They're adults. They're out of the house. We have one grandson, and just found out we have another one on the way. So
exciting.
we're excited about that. Yeah. So that's a little bit about myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. So as I mentioned earlier in my introduction, you're somebody who's been heavily involved in the Casa Grande community, I believe, since you started as the general manager here. Can you share a little bit about what motivated you to serve on, a wealth of these different boards and organizations?
Well, I'll tell you, at Walmart, we operate under some core values, and our core values, I believe, really I align with the core values, and one of them is respect for the individual, right? So you have to have this innate ability to show respect to others, and how better can you show respect to others by helping, by giving of yourself, right? And so in keeping with Walmart's culture, another big part of our culture is giving back. Our motto is save people money so they can live a better life. And that's we work very hard to deliver low prices and control our costs so we can deliver those everyday low prices. But beyond saving money at the register, what more can we do to help, give a hand up to individuals maybe that are a little bit disadvantaged? And, I have a particular passion with the youth. You mentioned the Rotary Foundation and the scholarships, and I've found that to be very gratifying to me. Winston Churchill has a quote. It says, "We make a living by what we get." And he goes on to say, "We make a life by what we give." So kind of put that in perspective. You work, you get a paycheck, you get stuff, right? And you get a car, you get a house, you go get groceries, and that's what you do with the living. Now, beyond that, we just don't live. We want to build a life, and so our life is what we're able to do and give to others. So that's at the center of kind of how I believe. I was motivated by seeing my mom and dad, who had very, very little, but with what very little they had, they still gave. Gave to the point where it hurt, right? And so I had great examples in my parents. Also, to bring Walmart back into that picture, our founder's wife, Helen Walton, has a quote. I think it's a wonderful quote. It says, "It's not what you gather in life, it's what you scatter in life that tells the life you've lived." And that really has resonated with me. I've been with Walmart. I've been here 21 years, but I've been with Walmart. Next month will be 26 years. So in kind of in keeping with our values and kind of keeping with that spirit of giving, helping people, whether it be at the register, to live a better life, and or through the work that we do in our volunteerism and our community grants, raising funds and giving back to others. I think that really helps people live a better life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really glad that you brought up the Casa Grande Rotary Foundation and some of the work you do with the youth and scholarships, because one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, you are going to be one of the nominees for the Wall of Fame for Casa Grande Union. And so I was wondering, with the work you've done, what does that mean to you to have a community like Casa Grande want to recognize you in that way?
That's a great question. And I asked myself that. I got a phone call a couple weeks ago, and they identified themselves and they said, "Hey, we want to," and they went on to just thank me for everything I've done for the high school, right? And they told me that they were gonna honor me as a Wall of Fame recipient. And I'll be honest with you, Rafida, I asked, "Are you sure you have the right guy?" There is another Louie Sanchez in the area, right? And I said, "Are you sure you got the right guy?" And no, we have the right guy. You're the guy. And so, I've just been fortunate to have utilized the good works, the heart of our club and the community, right? So the Rotary Club has a foundation, and within the club, we have members that work hard to raise funds, and these funds are reinvested in the community. We're over $1.5 million in scholarships over the last 37 years, and so that's not my money. It's not, of course some of it is, but it's not. It's a collection of money from the club members and the community. Yeah. So we reinvest this in the youth and giving them an opportunity to take a little bit of the burden off their college expenses, their expenses for books or what have you. And I've been fortunate to be part of that 14 years now. And that consistency, I guess, and building that process gave someone over at the high school, some folks, the thought that maybe, I was deserving of this. But it's really, I'm a facilitator of what we've been able to do within the club and the community. And I'm just facilitating the process and the hard work of many others. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And like I mentioned, you've been in the community for Casa Grande, for 26 years? 21 years. 21 years, 26 years with Walmart, correct? Yeah. So, what's motivated you as you've, kind of been around the community? What's motivated you to stay as long as you have? That's a good question. And so Walmart's a big organization, and I'm sure along the way, had I wanted to seek other opportunities, I've always had that option, right? It's a tremendous organization, provides tremendous opportunities for many, many people. However, when we moved here, there was just something about this community. There was something about the climate There was something about raising our boys here, and the reality is our eldest and our grandson, they live right down in Tucson. He and his wife and our grandson live in Tucson, so they're close. We have a son that lives in Southern California, so family's very important to us.
Yeah.
And so, the idea of moving, when you think about it from a family perspective, hey, we like it here, we're doing well here, let's stay here. So here we are 21 years now. Obviously we want to retire in this community. This is an area that me and my wife had talked about, that this is our forever location. And so we're pretty set in this area.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. So, Louie, I have a couple questions for you that we typically ask all of our guests, and we love to kind of see the gamut of answers from different people of various different backgrounds. So there's one that I'm really excited to ask you about, which is when you think about everything you've accomplished with Walmart, of course, but also when you think about all the work that's gone into helping different, community service organizations around Pinal County. And that, of course, includes all the challenges you've faced, and then, of course, all of the, successes or achievements. What do you hope that, down the line when people are reflecting on your time here and the work you've done, what do you hope they take away from your story?
Yeah, it's another good question. And, I'll bring my parents into this, into my answer, because, I think when I look at my dad and I look at the life he lived, I define his life as a legacy life, right? So a legacy life to me is the life you live when you're gone continues. Mm-hmm. It continues through others, and that's the legacy, right? So what mark did you make, right? So I'm no different than anybody else. There's nothing special about me, and quite honestly, there's probably less special about me than one would realize. However, when you give back and you help others, there's this enormous gratitude that you sense and you feel, right? So what I hope is throughout my years and throughout time, I've been able to encourage and set that example for others so that they can get involved and they can give back. Because once you do, you get that sense of good feeling. And when you get that good feeling, you live a happier life. You live a more healthy life in many regards. And so it makes you a better person. And so if that were to perpetuate, and then they pass it on to others, and then we have this, ability to say, hey, when we opened up the DC, we started doing Meals on Wheels. That was one of the very first grants, right? Mm-hmm. Here, 21 years later, we're still delivering meals to homebound seniors out of this distribution center. So you plant the seed, and that seed grows year after year after year. To me, that's a legacy life, right? And so what other little seeds, when I'm gone, who's going to carry the baton for the scholarships? Mm-hmm. That scholarship program is pretty important. A lot of students have benefited. It's not a lot of money, but it's encouragement. It's the idea that I don't want to let my community down because they've got my back. And there's hey, maybe I'll study a little harder. Maybe I'll work on making sure I make better grades because my community back home in Casa Grande has my back. They're supporting me. And I think that goes a long way. So what, you say, what do I want others to take away? Get involved. You'll be amazed at how it makes you feel. It's kind of selfish. It's kind of selfish in a way, right? Because you do something for others and it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It's kind of a selfish feeling. But then it perpetuates to bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. That's amazing, Louie. Thank you. So one last question for you. If you were to imagine many, many years down the line, a future where, you're sort of ready to hang up your hat, you've accomplished everything you would have ever wanted to accomplish, whether it be with Walmart or, whether it be in community service, and you've set out, you've accomplished everything you've ever set out to do when you started, what does that future look like to you?
I don't know that you ever fully accomplish what you set out to do. And you heard me talk about my father a lot. And I'll just kind of give you an example. So my father lived till he was 98 years old. He died in November, it'll be 2 years ago. And the last couple of years of his life, he suffered from dementia pretty bad. So there was, most of the time he wasn't with us. But he was kind of in his own little space, his own little world. And so, I made it a point to call home every day. And in fact, I still do, to talk to my mother. And when I'd call, the conversations were very narrow, they're very slim. And then he would talk about these guys or these boys are going to come by the house. There wasn't any boys that were going to come by the house, but in his mind, he was saying, let's see, when they get here, we'll see what we can do for them. So he was wanting to help, even in the final days of his life. And so I don't know that you ever, if it's part of you, you don't ever stop, right? But I'm not going to be sitting here forever. Those probably sooner than later, I'll be, probably kicked back doing something, but I'll always be involved at some level. I'll always seek some way to help others through volunteerism, through financial resources, whatever I can do, or even if it's just some words of advice, some encouragement, believing in somebody, and let them know that I got their back.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Louie Sanchez, thank you so very much, sir. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming out here and really pleasure getting to know you a little bit.